All right, Reddit, just rip the band-aid off. How badly did I screw up? I'm sitting here in the wreckage of my boyfriend Leon's 27th birthday party, and the silence is so loud I think I'm going to be sick. The apartment smells sickly sweet, a mix of leftover takeout and the ghost of a vanilla birthday cake. There are deflated balloons clinging to the ceiling like sad, colorful jellyfish, and a pile of discarded wrapping paper in the corner. It was supposed to be a celebration. Hours ago, this place was filled with people, with music, with laughter. My laughter. Now there's just me, and my phone, which has become a useless little brick of hope and despair. I've checked it maybe 100 times in the last hour. No calls, no texts from Leon. My last message to him, a pathetic "Are you okay? Please call me," is just sitting there. Delivered. Unread. It's been 5 hours since he walked out. He didn't yell, he didn't scream. He just left. And I'm starting to realize that the silence is so much worse than any fight we could have possibly had. It feels final. Please, someone just tell me what to do, or just tell me I'm the asshole. I think I already know the answer. To understand how monumental this screw-up is, you need to understand Leon. He's a soil scientist. Yes, a guy who plays with dirt for a living, and he's the most fascinating person I've ever met. He can turn a simple walk in the park into a history lesson, pointing out how the composition of the earth beneath our feet tells a story 1,000 years old. He has this calm, grounding presence that makes my usually chaotic, anxiety-riddled mind feel still. Our relationship was built in that quiet space, long hikes where we'd barely speak, nights spent reading side by side on the couch, him with a dense scientific journal and me with my trashy novels. He showed his love not in grand gestures for social media, but in small, steady acts of devotion that no one else saw. Learning how to bake my favorite ridiculously complicated French pastry after I mentioned it once. Fixing the wobbly leg of my desk because he heard it squeaking. Always remembering to charge my noise-canceling headphones because he knew I needed them to sleep in our noisy city. My friends, on the other hand, are different. They live their lives through a phone screen. Their conversations are a frantic buzz of follower counts, brand collaborations, and which brunch spot has the best lighting for selfies. The unofficial queen bee is Sasha, an influencer whose entire personality seems to be stitched together from viral audio clips. To them, Leon was sweet, but in a bless-his-heart kind of way. Sasha once called him comfortably boring after he politely declined to participate in a 10-second dance challenge at a dinner party. The phrase stuck. It became a running joke that he was my cozy, analog boyfriend. It was meant to be affectionate, but it always felt like they were patting me on the head for choosing something so unshareable. And here's the crucial part, the thing that's twisting my stomach into a knot right now. Leon comes from a family where appearances, dignity, and respect are everything. Not in a snobby, old-money way, but in a deeply ingrained cultural way. Being made a fool of, especially in public, is his deepest-seated nightmare. He once told me a story about his grandfather, a man he revered who would rather walk 5 miles in the rain than be seen with a rip in his coat. It's about composure, about integrity. I saw it firsthand once when we were at a street fair and saw a group of guys pull a prank on their friend, yanking his shorts down. I laughed, but Leon just got this pained look on his face and quietly said, "That's not funny. It's just mean. You're stealing someone's dignity for a cheap laugh." I knew that. I knew that the one thing he could not tolerate was being turned into a punchline. That was his invisible red line, and I didn't just cross it. I set it on fire for a few seconds of cheap entertainment. The party planning was where the rot really set in. Leon wanted something simple, a small dinner with a few close friends, maybe a bottle of the nice whiskey his dad got him. But Sasha and my circle had other ideas. A dinner party. "Jess, that's what our parents do," Sasha had said over brunch, scrolling through her feed. "His birthday needs a moment, something people will talk about." Another friend, Chloe, chimed in, "Yeah, you need something that pops on Instagram stories." Otherwise, did it even happen? They were relentless. Every suggestion I had was shot down as boring or lame. They framed it as a favor to me, as if my social standing was dependent on proving my relationship wasn't as quiet as it seemed. The pressure was immense, a constant, buzzing anxiety in the back of my head. I was so desperate for their approval, so terrified of being seen as the girl with the boring boyfriend, that I started to believe them. I convinced myself that a loud, performative party was what I wanted too. The cake idea came up a few days before the party. We were all at Sasha's apartment, and she was showing us a compilation of hilarious TikToks. One of them was the cake smash trend. In the video, a girl playfully shoves a piece of cake into her boyfriend's face. He feigns shock, then they both dissolve into laughter, kissing amidst the frosting. It looked so fun, so carefree. "Oh my God, Jess, you have to do this to Leon," Sasha shrieked, replaying the video. The look on his face would be priceless. "It's perfect." A small, cold voice in my gut immediately said no. I could picture Leon's face, not in playful shock, but in quiet horror. I even started to say it. "I don't know, guys, Leon's not really into," but I was cut off before I could finish. "Oh, come on, don't be a buzzkill," Chloe said, rolling her eyes. "It's a joke. It shows you guys don't take yourselves too seriously. It's cute." Sasha added the final nail in the coffin. "He'll get over it. It's just cake. If he can't take a simple joke, that's a red flag, sweetie." And I caved. Just like that. The desire to be one of them, to be seen as fun and spontaneous, completely overrode that warning voice. I let their warped definition of a red flag drown out my own knowledge of the man I loved. I told myself it would be fine. I'd be gentle, it would be funny, and Leon, my sweet, understanding Leon, would laugh along with everyone else. It was just a harmless prank. It was just for a laugh. The moment arrived like a slow-motion car crash I was orchestrating. The apartment was packed, hot, and loud, buzzing with a nervous energy that felt entirely foreign to our home. My friends had taken over, turning our quiet sanctuary into a stage for their social media performance. Phones were out everywhere, documenting every curated laugh, every clinking glass. Leon was being a good sport through it all, a pillar of calm in the hurricane I'd invited in. He smiled politely as Sasha tried to get him to pose for a boomerang with a ridiculously oversized party hat. I could see the tension in his shoulders, the way his smile didn't quite reach his eyes, but I was too buzzed on cheap Prosecco and the toxic adrenaline of being the center of attention to truly care. I just needed to get through the night. Then came the cake. It was a beautiful, simple vanilla cake with buttercream frosting, the kind I knew he loved from his favorite local bakery. We all gathered around the kitchen island. I held the cake, its weight feeling strangely heavy in my hands, as everyone launched into a loud, slightly off-key rendition of Happy Birthday. I remember catching Leon's eye across the 27 flickering candles. He gave me a small, genuine smile, a brief flash of the real him in the middle of all this manufactured chaos. It was a look of pure, uncomplicated love, a silent message that said, "This is crazy, but I'm here for you." It should have been my cue to stop everything, to throw the damn cake in the trash and just hug him. He closed his eyes, his face illuminated by the tiny flames, and made a wish. He leaned in to blow out the candles. And in that split second, with Sasha whispering, "Do it now, Jess. Everyone's recording." In my ear like a devil on my shoulder, I moved. It wasn't a playful smear of frosting like in the videos. Fueled by nerves and a desperate, pathetic need to perform for an audience that didn't matter, I misjudged it completely. I shoved the entire cake, cardboard base and all, into his face. The immediate aftermath was a cacophony of noise. A collective gasp, followed by an explosion of laughter, led, of course, by Sasha. It was a harsh, braying sound. Phones were held high, capturing the hilarious moment from every angle. I laughed too, a high, brittle sound that didn't feel like my own. I was playing my part. "See? I'm fun, we're fun. This is what a fun couple looks like." But then the laughter started to sputter out, replaced by an awkward, uncertain silence. Because Leon wasn't laughing. He just stood there, completely still, as thick white frosting dripped from his hair, his eyelashes, down his chin. He didn't flinch. He didn't speak. He slowly, methodically, used his fingers to wipe the frosting away from his eyes so he could see. And then he looked at me. Reddit, I will take the image of his face to my grave. There was no anger, no shock, not even hurt in the way you'd expect. It was something far, far worse. It was a look of complete and utter betrayal, a quiet, devastating finality. It was the look you give a stranger who has just revealed themselves to be a monster. In his eyes, I saw every quiet moment we'd ever shared, every promise of safety and trust, shatter into a million pieces. The man looking back at me wasn't my Leon. And the woman he was looking at, covered in the spray of his humiliation, wasn't the person he thought he loved. The connection between us, that beautiful, quiet thing we had built, was just gone. Snuffed out more completely than the birthday candles he never got to blow out. He didn't say a word to me. He just held my gaze for a second longer, his expression chillingly blank, and then the mask of polite composure fell back into place, a feat of self-control that was more terrifying than any outburst could have been. He turned away from me, addressing the stunned room with a voice that was eerily calm. "Excuse me," he said, his tone flat and devoid of any emotion, as if he were asking a stranger for the time. "I need to go wash my face." He walked to the bathroom and closed the door without a sound. The soft click of the lock was like a gunshot in the suddenly silent apartment. The party died in that instant. Sasha tried to break the suffocating tension, letting out a forced, high-pitched laugh. "Oh my God, what a drama queen," she said, but her voice wavered, betraying her unease. Nobody joined in. The joke had curdled. My friends, the very people who had goaded me into this, now looked deeply uncomfortable with its reality. They started shuffling their feet, avoiding my eyes, suddenly fascinated by their phones or the contents of their drinks. They were witnesses to a crime, and they wanted no part in the investigation. The party's manic energy had evaporated, leaving behind a thick, greasy residue of shame. A few minutes later, which felt like an eternity, Leon emerged. He was clean. His hair was damp at the temples, and he'd changed out of his frosting-ruined shirt into the jacket he'd arrived in. He still didn't look at me. It was a deliberate, surgical avoidance. It was like I had ceased to exist, become a piece of furniture in the room that held his public humiliation. He walked over to his two friends from work, who were standing awkwardly by the door, clearly desperate to leave. He clapped one on the shoulder, a gesture so normal it was bizarre. "Hey, thanks for coming, man. I appreciate it," he said, his voice still unnervingly level. "I'm going to head out." His friend looked from Leon's calm face to my shell-shocked one. "Are you sure, Leon? Everything okay?" "Yeah, just tired," Leon replied smoothly. "Long week." He was behaving like a guest leaving a party, not the host of his own birthday. He thanked them for their gifts, wished them a good night, and then he just walked out of the front door and closed it gently behind him. No fight, no scene, no final words. He just vanished into the night. The finality of that quiet exit was what finally broke the spell. My friends, sensing the show was over, began to leave in a frantic, clumsy hurry, murmuring pathetic excuses. "Got an early morning," one said, not meeting my eye. "This was fun," said another, the lie hanging heavy and sour in the air. Sasha was the last to go. She gave my shoulder a clumsy, dismissive pat. "He'll be fine," she said, with the breezy confidence of someone who has never faced a real consequence in her life. "Men are just like that sometimes. He's probably just overreacting. He'll text you tomorrow when he's cooled off." And then she left me alone in the wreckage, the lingering smell of sugar and shame my only company. He never texted. The next morning, I woke up on the couch with a pounding headache and a heart full of dread. The silence in the apartment was absolute. I called his phone. It went straight to voicemail. I texted him a long, rambling apology, no response. I checked his social media, my hands shaking. Blocked. I was blocked on everything. Instagram, Facebook, even Venmo. It was a swift, silent, digital execution. Panic started to claw its way up my throat. This wasn't cooling off. This was something else. I stumbled into our bedroom, and that's when the true horror of it hit me. It was subtle at first. The top of his dresser was clear. His watch, his wallet tray, the little dish where he kept his keys, all gone. I threw open the closet door. A neat, precise gap existed where his clothes used to hang. His hiking boots were gone from the shoe rack. His favorite mug was missing from the kitchen. I ran to the bathroom. His toothbrush, his razor, his stupidly expensive face wash all vanished. He had come back. Sometime in the dead of night, while I was passed out on the couch in a drunken, miserable stupor, he had come back into our shared home, packed a bag with the quiet efficiency of a ghost, and erased himself from my life. He had moved through our space, the home we had built together, and surgically removed every trace of himself without waking me. The thought of him doing that, with me just feet away, oblivious, shattered something deep inside me. In a desperate, last-ditch effort, I called Sasha. I was crying, barely coherent, trying to explain the empty closet, the blocked accounts. I needed my friend. I needed her to tell me it was going to be okay. But her voice on the other end was cool, distant. "Wow, Jess, that's intense," she said, a noticeable lack of sympathy in her tone. "Look, I feel for you, but this is really between you two. I don't want to get in the middle of it." The friend who had pushed me, who had called it a perfect idea, was now awkwardly distancing herself, treating me like I was radioactive. The final, soul-crushing blow came later that day. I was numbly cleaning up the party debris, throwing away the sad, deflated balloons, when I decided to clear his desk. In the top drawer, tucked beneath some papers, was a small, velvet blue box. My heart stopped. It wasn't a ring box. It was for a necklace. And tucked inside it was a receipt from an online jeweler, dated last week. I shakily typed the store's name into my laptop. They specialized in custom star charts. The order was for a silver locket, engraved with the celestial map of the night sky from the date and location of our first date. It was the most thoughtful, most Leon thing imaginable. A quiet, private universe just for us that he was going to give me on his birthday. And in return, I had given him public humiliation, captured on a dozen phone screens, for the approval of people who didn't even care enough to answer my call the next day. The weight of that contrast, the sheer ugliness of what I had done, finally broke me. I just sat on the floor and sobbed. It's been a week now. A week of living in this ghost apartment that is too big, too quiet, and full of memories that now feel like accusations. I've been completely and utterly excommunicated from his life. His friends won't return my calls. I even tried emailing him, a long, desperate plea full of apologies and self-loathing. It bounced back. He must have set up a filter. My own friends have been useless. Sasha sent a single text that said, "Hope okay?" with a heart emoji, the digital equivalent of a shrug. The social circle I tried so hard to perform for has moved on to the next brunch spot, the next viral trend. I was a momentary diversion, and now I'm just the awkward aftermath they'd rather not deal with. I sacrificed the one person who truly saw me for an audience that wasn't even paying attention. So now, this is my life. I've become a digital ghost haunting the edges of his world. My only connection to him, my most toxic and obsessive ritual, is stalking his sister's Instagram account. She hasn't blocked me. Yet, I refresh her feed a dozen, maybe 50 times a day, my thumb raw from the motion, my heart pounding with a sick mix of hope and dread. And I see him, in the background of her stories, in a group photo from a family dinner. He's there. He's smiling. Last night, she posted a picture from a hiking trip. He was in the foreground, looking out over a canyon, and he looked peaceful. He looked okay. He looked like himself again. There's no sign of me, no trace of the life we had. It's like I was a bad dream he's already shaken off. Each photo is a fresh stab, a confirmation that his world keeps spinning, beautifully and completely, without me in it. I was so afraid of being the girl with the boring boyfriend. And now I'm just the girl who is completely, utterly alone, watching the man she loves live the life I threw away. So, Reddit, I guess that's it. Is there any coming back from this? Or do I just have to accept that I was the clown on the stage, and for one cheap laugh, I burned down the whole damn circus?